Have you ever imagined making money online without having to show your face, without recording videos, without revealing your identity, and even using a website that almost nobody knows about? It sounds too good to be true, right? But stick with me until the end, because what you're about to discover might surprise you and perhaps completely change the way you view making money online. The truth is that most people who try to enter the world of personal finance and online income get stuck right at the beginning, either because they think they need to become an influencer or because they believe that only those who already have an audience, followers, or some kind of exposure can make money. And then that insecurity kicks in. What if I don't want to show my face? What if I don't feel comfortable showing my face? Is it still possible to make money online? If you've been through this, you're not alone. There are a large number of people who want to build extra income, improve their lives, get out of financial trouble. But they simply don't want to or can't put themselves out there. And the problem is that almost no one talks about real alternatives for this type of person. What you see most often are the same saturated strategies, the same overused apps, and the same promises that, in the end, don't work for most people. But that's when I found something different. A virtually hidden website, not featured in popular videos, not overused. And most interestingly, it allows you to start earning money online simply, without showing your face and without depending on followers. And when I say simple, I don't mean easy or miraculous, I mean accessible, straightforward, and possible even for those starting from scratch. And I know what you might be thinking right now. Okay, but does this really work, or is it just another empty promise? And that's exactly why you need to pay attention to what comes next. Unlike many things you've seen before, this isn't about theory or something impossible to apply. It's practical, and anyone with internet access can test it. I was even surprised myself when I understood how it works in practice. And the most interesting thing is that this type of opportunity connects perfectly with a financial growth mindset. It's not just about making a few bucks online, it's about taking the first step, getting out of inertia, and starting to build a new source of income, even if it's small at first. Because that's how it all begins. Now, tell me something. How many opportunities have you let pass you by just because you thought it wasn't for you, or because it seemed too complicated, or even because no one explained it in a simple way? Well, maybe this one is different. So pay attention, because in the next few minutes I'm going to show you something that few people are seeing, but that can open an interesting door for those who want to make money online without showing their face, without complications, and with a more accessible path than it seems. And the most curious thing is that most people completely ignore this. But when you understand how it works from the inside, everything starts to make sense. And perhaps the most interesting thing about all this isn't the website itself, but what it represents. Because when you start to see this kind of opportunity, something changes in your mind. You stop looking at the internet just as entertainment and start seeing real possibilities to make money online, even without experience, even starting small. It's that moment when the switch flips, and I keep thinking about how many people are exactly at that point right now, wanting to do something different, wanting to get out of the same financial situation, but still not knowing where to start. Sometimes all that's missing is just a simpler direction, something that actually seems possible. If what I'm saying makes sense to you, really, leave a comment below about what has caught your attention the most so far, or even what the biggest difficulty you've ever had trying to make money online has been. I really enjoy reading what you write because, in addition to helping the channel grow, it also creates a real exchange. Often what you comment here can help someone else who is going through the exact same situation. And if you're enjoying this type of content, which goes beyond the obvious and shows more accessible paths within personal finance and online income, please leave a like. It may seem simple, but it makes a huge difference in helping this type of video reach more people who are also looking for a way to improve their lives, but haven't yet found the right path. And of course, if you want to continue discovering other little-known ways to make money online, without having to show your face and with a more strategic mindset for financial growth, subscribe to the channel. Because the idea here isn't just to show an isolated opportunity, it's to open your eyes to various possibilities that most people simply ignore. Your participation here is what makes this channel grow and reach more people with this type of content. And ultimately, the more people who have access to this type of information, the greater the impact we create together. But now, let me show you exactly how this website works on the inside, because that's where things start to get even more interesting. Catch? Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because it's not just about a website or a way to make money online. It's about something that happens behind the scenes of most of the decisions you make every day. There's a hidden truth that few people realize. The biggest obstacle isn't a lack of opportunity, but how you perceive those opportunities. Most people have had some kind of chance in front of them, but ignored it, doubted it, or simply let it pass because they believed it wasn't meant for them. And that has everything to do with mindset. Perhaps you've already experienced this firsthand. That desire to start something new, to try for extra income, to change your financial reality. But at the same time, a silent thought comes along and holds everything back. A mix of doubt, fear, and even comparison with other people who seem to be much further along in this journey. And the problem is that it accumulates. Small decisions you fail to make, small actions you postpone. And when you realize it, time has passed and nothing has really changed. Not for lack of ability, but for lack of clarity and direction. That's why this type of discovery has such an impact. Because it's not just about the money itself, it is about breaking that pattern. It's about proving to yourself that there are simpler, more accessible paths that don't require perfection, exposure, or anything outside your current reality. And when you understand this, something begins to change internally. Your way of thinking evolves, your decisions become more strategic, and you begin to see opportunities where before you only saw difficulties. This is real transformation, not just financial, but mental. Because ultimately, everything starts with a choice. The choice to test, to learn, to step outside your comfort zone, even if it's with something small at first. And that's exactly where the difference lies between those who stay in the same place and those who start building something new. And perhaps that's the most important point so far. Realizing that you don't need something extraordinary to start, you just need something that works and a mindset ready to act. Comment below, does this make sense for me? Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject. Because it wasn't just a random discovery that appeared out of nowhere. I came across this website after trying several things that, frankly, didn't work as promised. And that's part of the journey for anyone trying to find a real way to make money online. Behind the scenes, what nobody shows is the number of attempts, errors, and small frustrations that happen before finding something that truly works. And it was precisely in this process that this opportunity arose. At first, I was also skeptical, analyzing every detail, trying to understand if it made sense or if it was just another empty promise. But instead of ignoring it, I decided to test it. And that was one of the most important decisions in this process. Because when you leave the realm of doubt and take action, even cautiously, you begin to have your own revelations. You stop depending on the opinions of others and start to see clearly what truly has potential. I started by exploring the site from the inside, understanding how it worked, what the real possibilities were, and, most importantly, whether it fit into a common routine without demanding anything unrealistic. And little by little, things started to make sense in a way I didn't expect. It wasn't something instantaneous or magical, but it was consistent, and that changes everything. Because when you find something that, even if simple, delivers results progressively, you begin to see its long-term impact. That's where true transformation comes in. It's not about making a lot of money all at once, but about building something that grows over time, based on smart decisions. And perhaps the most interesting thing is this: understanding that there are more discreet, less explored paths, but that still work, and they work precisely because few people are looking at them carefully. Write this down. I'm on this journey too. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because, from here on out, everything starts to become clearer and, at the same time, more interesting. The truth is, so far, I've shown you the context, the behind-the-scenes aspects, and the mindset behind this discovery. But what really matters and what can have a real impact on your journeys? Understanding exactly how this works in practice and how you can apply it to your daily life, even if you're starting from scratch. Because it's not enough to just know that an opportunity exists. What truly changes the game are the decisions you make after discovering something new. And that's where many people get stuck. Not for lack of ability, but for not having a clear, simple, and direct path to follow. So pay attention to this. What I'm about to show you isn't complex. It doesn't require advanced experience, and it certainly doesn't require any rare skills. On the contrary, it's precisely the simplicity that makes it accessible. But at the same time, there's a right way to see and use it, and that's where the difference lies. Because if you only look at it superficially, it might seem ordinary. But when you understand the logic behind it, when you see the details that most people ignore, everything changes. It's like you gain access to a different perspective, a kind of revelation that puts you a few steps ahead of those who are still stuck on the basics. And this connects directly to financial growth. It's not about doing something extravagant, but about identifying small opportunities and consistently making the most of them. That's how you build something solid over time. And I know that, at first, it might seem like just another idea, but as you begin to understand it better, you realize that there is a structure behind it, a path that can be followed strategically, without complication. Comment below. I want to understand this, honey. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because the time has come to show you what's really behind this hidden website and why it has attracted so much attention from those who are starting to see these opportunities that are off the radar. What makes this different is not just the promise of making money online without showing your face, but the fact that it operates in a way that completely deviates from the pattern most people are used to. It's not that saturated model where everyone does the same thing, nor does it depend on exposure, audience, or influence. On the contrary, it works behind the scenes, more quietly, almost invisible to those who aren't paying attention. And perhaps that's the big turning point here, because while many people are competing for space on the same platforms, trying to grow in already crowded environments, there are more strategic alternatives that go unnoticed. And this website falls exactly into that category. It leverages a simple dynamic, but one that generates impact precisely because few people explore it in the right way. When I started analyzing it, I realized it wasn't just another tool. There was a logic behind it, a structure that, if used correctly, can fit perfectly into the routine of anyone who wants to build something without complications. And that completely changes how you approach the opportunity. But here's an important point. At first glance, it may seem ordinary, and that's exactly where most people go wrong, because they ignore the details, don't understand the complete workings, and end up missing something that could make a difference in their own journey. And the more you observe, the more you realize there's a kind of hidden pattern in all of this. A specific way of using it, navigating it, extracting value from it, something that isn't obvious to someone who only looks superficially. And that's exactly what begins to reveal its true potential. Comment below, I want to find out so now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because understanding the logic behind it is important. But it's when you see how it works in practice that everything really starts to make sense. When you enter this website, the first thing that catches your attention is its simplicity. There's no information overload, no unnecessary complications. It's straightforward. And that, incredibly, already says a lot about how it was designed. The idea here isn't to confuse you, it's to get you moving. The process begins with a basic registration, which is quick and straightforward. After that, you already have access to the activities available on the platform. And here's an interesting behind-the-scenes aspect. These activities are structured in a way that allows anyone to participate, even without prior experience. It's like a system where small actions generate small rewards, but with consistency, it starts to scale. And it's precisely at this point that many people underestimate the potential, because they look at it superficially and don't realize the cumulative effect it can generate over time. Another important detail is that you don't need to follow a single path. There's a certain flexibility allowing you to adapt it to your routine, your available time, and even your level of dedication. This makes the experience lighter, more accessible, and much more sustainable. And as you explore, you'll better understand how to choose the best options, how to optimize your time, and how to make smarter decisions within the platform. This is part of the natural evolution. It's where mindset begins to align with practice, and that's exactly where things start to move beyond the basics and into a more strategic level. Comment below. I'm starting to understand that. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because this is where many people really start paying attention, when the real gains and potential behind all of this come into play. And I need to be direct with you, without exaggeration or illusion. This type of opportunity isn't about getting rich overnight. Whoever promises you that is, most of the time, hiding the truth. But at the same time, ignoring its potential would also be a mistake. What happens here is something more subtle, almost invisible at first, but it can have an impact over time. Initially, the gains tend to be smaller, precisely because you are still understanding how it works, exploring the options, and adjusting your decisions. But it is exactly at this point that most people give up. And that's where the difference lies. Because those who persevere begin to notice a pattern. Small actions begin to generate small results, and these results, when repeated consistently, begin to grow. Not explosively, but progressively. And this is much more sustainable within a real journey of building online income. Another important point is that there is a direct relationship between dedication and return. The more strategic you become, the better you understand the inner workings of the platform, the greater your chances of increasing your earnings. And this doesn't depend on luck, but on perception and adaptation. And perhaps this is the biggest revelation so far. Potential lies not only in what you earn today, but in what you build over time based on your choices. Comment below. I see potential in this. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because this is exactly where most people get lost, and, at the same time, where there is a silent difference between those who earn little and those who begin to extract a much more interesting result. The secret lies not only in doing the tasks, but in how you do them. There's a strategic layer that almost no one notices at the beginning, and it has everything to do with decisions. Not big, complex decisions, but small choices made consistently that shape the outcome throughout the journey. For example, understanding which tasks are truly worth your time, identifying patterns within the platform, and realizing which actions generate the most return and which only take up space. This seems simple, but it's precisely this type of analysis that creates an advantage. Another point that completely changes the game is how you organize your routine. Those who approach it randomly tend to get random results. Now, those who start applying a minimum of discipline, even if it's just a little time each day, begin to feel a different impact. It's that silent transformation that happens behind the scenes, without drawing attention, but that gradually accumulates strength. And there's more. The more involved you become, the more you start to see details that previously went unnoticed. Small optimizations, subtle adjustments, smarter ways of acting. This doesn't come from the outside. It comes from experience, repetition, and a mindset of continuous evolution. And perhaps that's the big turning point, to stop acting automatically and start acting with intention. Because in the end, it's not the website that determines how much you earn. It's the decisions you make within it. Comment below. I'm going to apply this, so now I want to delve even deeper into this subject. Because everything I've shown you so far only starts to yield real results when there's an internal change happening alongside it. Most people approach opportunities like this with an immediate gratification mindset. They want to test it today and see a significant return tomorrow. And when that doesn't happen, they lose interest, doubt the process, and end up back where they were before. This is a silent pattern that holds many people back. But there is another way to look at it. When you begin to develop a growth mindset, you understand that every small action is part of something bigger. It's not just about the day's gain, but about accumulating experience, learning to make better decisions, and building consistency even when the result isn't yet visible. And that completely changes the game. Because instead of acting impulsively, you start acting intentionally. Instead of giving up quickly, you begin to observe, adjust, and evolve. That's the true transformation, not just financial, but behind the scenes. That's exactly what separates those who truly build something from those who only try for a while and then give up. It's not luck. It's not extraordinary talent. It's a mindset aligned with action. You begin to see value where you didn't see it before. You start to notice opportunities that were always there, but went unnoticed. And this creates a chain reaction. Your decisions improve, your vision expands, and your journey begins to gain direction. Ultimately, it's not about that specific website. It's about the kind of person you become when you learn to use that kind of opportunity intelligently. Comment below, mind and evolution to the now. I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because, ultimately, everything we've discussed so far isn't just about an isolated opportunity, but about the moment when you decide to look at your own reality in a different way. There's a very subtle line between staying exactly where you are and starting a new phase. And that line, most of the time, doesn't depend on big changes, but on small decisions you make when faced with something new. This kind of discovery carries a weight that many people ignore, because it represents possibility. An opportunity, when not seized, turns into frustration over time. Perhaps this is one of those situations where you feel something makes sense, even without having all the answers yet. A kind of intuition, as if a part of you is telling you that it's worth at least looking more closely, understanding better, testing it out on your own. Because the truth is that opportunities like this are not usually obvious. They appear more discreetly, almost as if they were hidden in the backstage of the internet, waiting for someone with the right mindset to see the value behind them. And when you start to realize that, everything changes. Your way of thinking evolves, your decisions become more intentional, and your journey begins to gain direction. It's no longer about trying anything. It's about choosing more consciously, more strategically, and with more clarity about where you want to go. And perhaps that's the biggest impact of all this so far, making you realize that there are possible paths, even if they are still largely unexplored. Comment below, I see this opportunity. Age, and if you've made it this far, you've probably already realized that this wasn't just another ordinary video. It was an exchange, a different perspective on something that many people still haven't been able to see. If this type of content resonated with you, it's worth subscribing to the channel, because the idea here is precisely to continue bringing this type of insight. These more unexpected opportunities, always with a practical and direct approach, without complication. And tell me in the comments, just so I know you really followed along until the end. Right. I'm with you until the end. This helps create an even stronger connection between those who are on the same journey, seeking evolution and new possibilities. And if at any point in the video you felt something clicked in your head, that some part gave you a new perspective, go ahead and leave a like. This shows that this type of content is making sense and helps to spread this message to more people who may be in exactly the same place you were before watching. Now, there's a video here that perfectly complements what we discussed today. It delves even deeper into this idea and can broaden your perspective on this path even further. Click on it and continue with me there.